All right. Welcome to another
Hey,
edition of Bitcoin Brodie and the Crypto Cadets. I'm with
hey
Bill
everybody.
Shaltima,
So,
and Curtis Caudill.
yeah, awesome.
Awesome.
Welcome, Curtis, to the group.
Yeah,
Thank
welcome.
you.
Thank you for joining us today.
hmm
Yep.
Hey, I'm the only guy without a hat. I don't usually wear hats.
Actually, I usually don't either, but it's raining out here, and I just ran in. So,
Yeah. So, Curtis, before we start, where are you from?
Greensboro, North Carolina,
Nice.
little deciduous forest neighborhood out here. It's like living in the woods. It's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, and I'm
I'm
located in Toronto, and
I'm in Stratford, home of Justin Bieber and the famous actor that just passed away. His
Right.
name escapes me. Christopher Plummer.
yeah,
Oh,
So that's where I am.
okay.
But so we're kind of dispersed a little bit. And so everyone, we are having special guest today. Curtis is with us, and he is from one of the groups that we're on, and that's the Cryptocurrencies Questions and Answers and News. And he's come on to join us. We're going to be talking about things that are going on in the cryptocurrency space and talking about the emotional aspect of things, the safety and security of what we're going through. And there's been a lot of news, a lot of things happening that probably are causing you to second guess your decisions of joining. And I'm just going to pass it on to Jeff first to just kind of get us going.
yeah, excellent. Well, thank you so much, Bill. So there's a lot of fear, uncertainty, and doubt, and we've seen a recent deep market correction, if you will. We've seen 20 to 22%, 25%, and more for some of the altcoins. To top it off with the news of the American government considering expanding the capital gains tax, right? So you bring that into the mix, but so fear, uncertainty, and doubt are kicking in high, but at the same time, Grayscale buys another $1 billion of Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So fear, uncertainty, and doubt make it put everything on sale, and then you get those with the billions coming in and buying on sale. So those with diamond hands through this with your Bitcoin for sure will prosper in the end.
Yeah, definitely. And so obviously we want Curtis to weigh in, but Curtis, before you do, could you just kind of share a little bit about your journey or what you do and what's gotten you so involved in the cryptocurrency?
Okay. Yeah. Thanks, Bill.
You're welcome.
So, I entered the space. A lot of people that are entering now, I would consider new, and there's definitely a lot of people that have been around. A lot of people that have been around a lot longer than me. But about 2017, I started getting really interested in crypto. I've always been interested in money creation and the Fed and economics and things of that nature. So when I heard about crypto, it just really piqued my interest. And but at that point in time, it was really kind of hard to navigate the space, and there wasn't a whole lot of people around like yourself and Jeff to reach out and help other people. So I kind of navigated the space with one of my good friends, Scott, and created the group and didn't really do a whole lot with it until I saw the space growing again, and I was like, okay, there's going to be a big influx of people that are going to need help, and I don't want them to end up in the same spot that I was in. So that's what the group is. The group is started out as kind of a self, just kind of reaching out and helping people. But I think it's kind of turning into like a interactive media sharing kind of community where we all talk about, just like we're doing now, about the current events and also, what's the next best thing, right? So
Yeah.
Awesome.
And there's always that dialogue of, sometimes I look at the charts and, I think I'm looking at my emotions on the scale.
Yeah, well, that's what the charts show. That's human emotion in lines and tech analysis.
Yeah, that's it exactly. And so the news. You take the people who have been around who have been around for 3 or 4 market cycles. From the bull to the bear, the bull to the bear, the bull to the bear, and some of them will sound a little harsh, and and there's a phrase that goes along that says, "Not your keys, not your crypto."
Yeah.
Right? And it'll mean something in just a moment as we talk about what's going on in Turkey. Right. Earlier this week, we saw one of the exchanges. The founder of the exchange was on the run, and then news came out that there's another exchange that's so everybody who's got their crypto sitting on wallets in the exchange, they're locked out of their crypto, and whether they'll ever get access to it again and get their crypto back, we don't know. Right. And that's the whole risk. And that's, where people, most of the people who have the hardest edge when it comes to that, and they seem a little blunt if you're interacting with them in forums, it's because they too have lost crypto in a rug pull of an exchange, right? You're talking about billions of dollars disappearing overnight.
Yeah.
So you've read and you've looked at a little bit at that, Bill. So what's your thoughts about that as a new investor?
As a new investor, 2.5 months in, I actually moved most of my Bitcoin off any of the exchanges I have. I'm on 3. I'm on 4 actually. ShakePay, Crypto.com, KuCoin, which I'm actually loving a lot. Not only because of the charting, but also what they offer. Yeah. And then the Canadian new one, Caudill. I haven't done anything with it. I've just recently joined it. And so I thought, you know what? And it wasn't because of the news stories. It's just that they were sitting there, and I was like, I'm not planning on trading with it. It's just sitting there. I might as well put it in a safer place, got it off the exchanges into my wallet, and which is, it's a good thing to do, because you don't know when you go put your head on the pillow one night what tomorrow will bring, and nothing is for certain. And so if you aren't the actual custodian of your own coins and you have those keys, it's just a dream.
Yeah, exactly. What's your thoughts, Curtis?
Well, I agree with you 100%. I mean, one thing that hasn't really come into the crypto world yet is, the idea that things are insured to a large degree. So that some of these exchanges, they're not registered in any type of fashion. I mean, that's kind of the allure of the whole crypto world, is that it's still kind of the Wild West. And, I do enjoy that about it. But I also want everybody to keep in mind, too, there are exchanges that have had some pretty severe hacks. KuCoin, for one, was they had a big theft back in the last quarter of last year. But that particular exchange made good. They recovered most of the funds, returned them back to the investors. And I mean, that exchange has really become one of the best exchanges out there, for sure.
Yeah. So I have a question for you guys that have been in it longer. When a exchange says, let's say Gemini, they have a certain amount in cold storage, is that, and let's say I'm using an exchange that has their own storage of Bitcoin, let's say, is some of that Bitcoin mine, so that if things were to go south, they have it off of the exchange that's accessible once they get things back up and running? Or is it just to cover costs when they run into a hit?
Well, every exchange needs to have adequate liquidity. Yeah. And this is what happens. The liquidity means when you get massive trading and massive sell-offs, that the exchange has to be able to cover that. So when they're putting Bitcoin into cold storage, basically pulling it off and putting it into a hardware type of device to protect their crypto keys, right? That's what the funds are for. And yes, part of it would be, they might underwrite the loss themselves, like KuCoin did. I know Binance has done similar. Like Binance has had a couple of issues. And, while a lot of people look at exchanges that have been hacked and shy away, I actually dig in and look at exchanges who have been hacked, who have had issues, and ask, how public were they and how good did they come about it? And, if the exchange is still strong and growing, like we've seen with KuCoin, made it right. And I know Binance did the same for its last incident. It made it right by its, there's exchanges that are too small that can't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's the risk and danger of going with new small exchanges, is they do not have the liquidity to cover an incident.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and those exchanges, they'll be around a long time, but I really think the future are these DEX exchanges, and then it's not going to matter. You send your coin in and it spits what you want out, and so that's right around the corner. I mean, some of them already exist, but they're going to start looking more and more like these centralized exchanges, and then you're not going to have to worry about security. It's all going to be automated 100%.
That's one of the nice things about, when we're trading with whether it's Uniswap or PancakeSwap on the Binance Smart Chain, is that, we can connect our wallets to it, and we can do trading directly in and out of our wallets using the distributed exchange technology. So there's no centralization to it. And Curtis is alluding to, there's a new exchange coming out called Pokedex, built on the Polkadot network, that the roadmap shows that they're going to bring a lot of the functions and features that you're only seeing in a centralized exchange, type of spot. Like, for instance, when we use Uniswap or PancakeSwap, it's a simple, I want to exchange a coin for a coin, and we don't get to bid on the price we want to pay. And we're going to start seeing that change with the newer distributed exchanges like the Pokedex. So it's exciting what's going on. So, what's your thoughts about the future of the exchanges? How is that going to affect them?
Yeah, well, I mean, I definitely think that you're going to see a lot of decentralized exchanges enter the top 10, kind of like Uniswap. PancakeSwap's moving up. But you're going to see features like margin trading and leverage and things that you see on these centralized exchanges. And again, security is not going to be an issue. So I think there's features of these decentralized exchanges that are going to pull large amounts of people and investment money. I definitely think that it's going to eat into the market share of these bigger ones like KuCoin and Hotbit, and over time, of course, if you got your money in those exchange tokens, you want to keep that in mind, because those are usually based on revenue. So when those DEX exchanges start hitting hard, it's going to pull from some of those other exchanges.
It's what's kind of interesting, and I want to give offer a thought along that, because what we're seeing now, if we look at the percentage of people that are in the market, for us who are coin holders, versus the no coiners, those who have been sitting on the sidelines, on the fences and waiting, is that we know a lot of people that are trading. And yet, it's probably less than 0.1% of the population of the world, right? So when we start looking at more people entering the market and more people, more of our traditional investors, those that have been buying the, trading precious metals and also trading stocks, when they can find that they're getting the same type of service and they're getting the same types of investment opportunities that they would get in the stock market through the crypto market, we might see a whole new wave of investors. And, they might be retail investors, but they might be seasoned investors, right? And that we know that when we're trading crypto, it doesn't matter whether you're trading crypto, you're trading precious metals, you're trading stocks, right? The candles are the candles, the methods of placing trades, doing longs and doing shorts and doing, calls and puts in the stock market. They're all very, they all do the same thing. So I think it's exciting. And I think we're going to see a massive influx of new money coming into crypto, which will go to support, Bitcoin becoming a $10 trillion marketplace, and that the overall cryptocurrency market being worth $20 trillion.
Yeah, I have this theory that because these dexes are going to take on the same characteristics as the centralized exchanges. Everything kind of follows this efficiency path where if something is more efficient and is able to save more money and become simple, then people usually go for it. And with the Fed getting into crypto and legacy investors starting to really hit Bitcoin hard, and now Ethereum, I think it's going to one of two things. It's either going to completely cannibalize the stock market, or the stock market is going to start really adopting the crypto model. Because why wouldn't a company want to go public and have their own coin? Just by writing up a smart contract and putting it on a blockchain, and then not having to worry about any of the mechanics behind it. It just makes sense to me. It may take a while, but I think that crypto is definitely way undervalued. I think it still has a long way to go. And, like I said, just the last year, it's just been crazy how many people have come into the space. So,
yeah. I'm one of them.
Yeah. And so, like in your world, Bill, what's, with your interaction with people, what are you finding? And, are you getting the, hey, can you tell me about this in your interactions and when you're, out and about?
I am a little bit. Some people kind of scratch their head and go, what's that? Some people don't even really know what it is or know anything about it. But there are a few guys that I've talked to that are, when I dumb it down to where I'm able to explain it in the simplest terms, it makes sense. They say that makes a lot of sense. That sounds like a great idea. But they have to hear it a few times. They have to see it, and they're not ready for that experience to put money into something that they don't understand. And so they need to hear about it over time. And, just like when we were dating, we have to convince her to go out on the second date. She may have to hear us a few times before she's fine. We'll do another date. Right. So just getting used to it, to, take what's unfamiliar and make it familiar. The terminology is weird. They don't understand it, especially if they've never invested before. This is a whole brand new world. I did a little bit, with regular stocks and stuff. So I had a bit of an idea, but just to even wrap your head around this, the numbers you're hearing, like Bitcoin is going to go to 500,000 or $1 million for a coin, to a new person, they can't wrap their head around that.
Yeah. So I think that's a really good number. And talk about, like, when you first heard Bitcoin at 45,000 or 50,000, what did you think?
I couldn't understand it. I thought, well, what's that valuable? That something that I can't even see. What is it actually doing? Where is the worth of this $40,000 coin that you don't actually hold? What's it doing, and how is it going to benefit me? And what is it doing? Like what is it?
Yeah, right? And did that value of that coin seem like a barrier of entry to you?
It did, because I thought you had to buy the whole coin. It's like, well, I'm totally out of that game. There's no way I can buy one coin for 40 grand. And then I did some reading, and then I'm not sure where I read it. Maybe it was on Crypto Canada when I started looking for a group, and found out that you could buy, a small portion of it. And then I thought, oh, maybe I can get involved, and over time build that amount up towards a 1 Bitcoin or 2 Bitcoins, whatever. So I didn't. It was because of a lack of understanding, lack of knowledge, and I wasn't familiar with it. But once I became familiar with it, then I could move into it with more confidence and go, okay, I get what I'm doing here. I understand. My next step of education is understanding the charts. What are the candles doing? What the heck is a wick, and what's the wick doing? What's it telling me? And then we talked about, we talk about that once in a while. We talk about the Elliott wave theory, and how does that help us choose when to step in and when to step out of a trade. So that's kind of been my journey. So, and it's been fantastic.
It's amazing, 2 months in, and you're already talking about, the emotions of the market, the motion of the market, doing technical analysis. Like, generally these are pretty advanced things. And it goes to show you when you hang around with, when I hang around with smart people, and there's a lot of smarter people in these groups than me, that I learn really fast. And it's kind of it's that rising tide lifts all ships. So it's like you learn a lot and you get carried along on the coattails. And I've been really grateful to, have the friendship with Curtis and Bill and the other moderators in both the Crypto Canada group and as well in the cryptocurrency questions and answers. And it's fun, right? And it's that the more I can share, the more I can give, the more that I can help people out, the more I will, because it comes back in spades.
Yeah, it's funny. I never thought I'd be in groups with people watching candles together, just watching them go up and down. So
yeah, I mean, it's so much fun when we're sitting there, and it's like, if I'm not by my phone and I hear ding, 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 ding,
I hear
and
it.
I know one of the projects is going crazy, and that in our group, there's a group of 4 or 5 of us, and it's like we're doing technical analysis and looking at things, and it's that excitement, and I'm going like, oh, I got like 40 messages to catch up on this thread. Yeah, this morning I was listening to one of my favorite YouTubers who does he does some good technical analysis. His name is Randall at Crypto Love. And he was talking about Ethereum. And I think, Curtis, you had shared with me a 4-phase of the bull run where it showed Bitcoin, and then it showed, Bitcoin season, Ethereum season, and then high market cap altcoin season. And then, and then back to Bitcoin, and all pandemonium breaks out towards the end of the run. So what he was talking about was the amount of money that's in Ethereum right now is so small, right? If you looked at the overall derivatives market, the trading markets in the world, commodities and stocks and precious metals, when we look at, that there's only, $220 billion, $275 billion in Ethereum right now. I think 280 billion with the current value of Ethereum, somewhere in that neighborhood. That it's small numbers compares to what's, the amount of money, the trillions and trillions of dollars that are in the exchanges for stock and for the other markets. So when we talk about that, so what he was saying was, like, we're around, 0.1% of money in the markets, that if it went up to 1%, that Ethereum, once Ethereum gets its layer 2 scaling in, and we start seeing the cost of the gas fees coming down, so where the transactions are, happening quickly and affordably, we're going to see a lot more trading activity on the Ethereum network, because it's already built, it's already there, it's already working. It's just, it's like staking on Ethereum and going to harvest your payout on a pool can be really hurtful if you got to pay $20 to $30 for gas fees, right? So you might leave your collection to once a month versus doing it daily and compounding. So this is that, these are the solutions. Like, that's what was the birth of Binance Smart Chain and PancakeSwap. And we're seeing the same thing coming about with the Pokedex on the Polkadot network. So, that where they're running, yes, they're centralized exchanges right now, but their solution is meeting a need that Ethereum can't meet right now, and there's very few other blockchains that are out there. A lot of them are vying for that position. So what are your thoughts? Like, he was talking, like, if we could get, 1%, 2% into the Ethereum market, that Ethereum could become a coin that's worth, $2 to $3 trillion. And, when we think about this, it's not that Bitcoin's going to stay at $1 trillion. We know that Bitcoin's going to continue to rise, and it's going to rise relative, because it is the one coin that rules them all. So what are your thoughts about that?
Well, There's definitely a lot of really cool stuff that's coming down the pipes with Ethereum. The EIP 1559 is, a solution that is going to make it a deflationary asset. So every single transaction on the blockchain is going to burn Ethereum. And I think they estimated that if it was in place last year, they would have burnt 1 million coins. So kind of puts things into perspective. You compound that year after year, and yeah, so the gas is an issue. But what I can tell you for sure about Ethereum is the tools and the development that's happened on the chain is far superior to any other chain. There's all the big projects and the big teams are on Ethereum. And yeah, of course, some of it is migrated to Binance. You've got some teams that have migrated to Cardano, but the big money projects, those fees just aren't that big of a problem. But for the general public and people that want to get into it, yeah, they kind of are But yeah, I see. I see the gas fees getting cleaned up. Things, and once that happens, you're going to have a lot of different things take place because, of course, just like anything else, the more expensive something is, the less it's going to flow. So,
yeah. As a miner, I've seen the amount of traffic reduce dramatically from January to current, right? Mm-hmm. Just because the fees were so high, and that the miners, we don't have control over the gas fees. The gas fees are what they are, and they're driven by the congestion on the network. And then when I want to send a transaction out, it's like if I'm doing a multi-$1,000 transaction and the gas fee is $70, and to do it on a high, to do it faster is another $20. It's like, yeah, okay, that's fine, right? But if you're doing it, like I tried to buy some stuff around $200 or $300, and 50% of it is gas fees. I'm going like, yeah, that just doesn't make sense.
No,
right? So, but yeah, I think we've got some. It's going to be an interesting year, and when the layer 2 stuff is brought out, and when optimism, when it comes out, and we'll get into the layer 2 solutions so that organizations and solutions like Matic can provide that layer 2 scaling. So yeah. I think that when that happens, I think we're going to see a hard rally on Ethereum because it'll become king of its domain, and it's kind of we talk about Bitcoin being the one coin that rules them all, but I think that Ethereum is an emperor of its own right, and that when the gas fees are back and normalized, we're going to see Ethereum, being able to control the market, and it'll be important to look at Ethereum pairs just like we look today at Bitcoin pairs.
So the way I understand it, Bitcoin is like a great store of value, where Ethereum is a different type of coin, and that can allow it to rise up in its own kingdom, if you could say it that way, right? And it's interesting, the first time when I first got my first exchange and I'm looking at, okay, Bitcoin and Ethereum, I'm thinking Ethereum, man, that sounds so Star Wars. It sounds like something that's what they would use for their own coins, in this make-believe movie, right? So to me, it has a very romantic slant to it, just because of how it sounds.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, you're absolutely right though. Bitcoin, if you read the white paper, the main thing was that it was a peer-to-peer transaction system. And of course they had a couple of jabs at the centralized banking system. But, Ethereum, smart contracts and decentralized finance. There's a lot of stuff that's being built on it. I think what a lot of people don't realize too, and I've always said for the longest time that I thought Ethereum was just going to surge, and I was always a big fan of what people call the flippening, which is where Ethereum becomes a larger asset than Bitcoin. But recently, companies like Blockstacks have decided to start building smart contracts on top of Bitcoin. So you're going to see some of that functionality come to Bitcoin, and that's going to be really interesting.
Yeah, and Blockstacks is a very interesting project where they're utilizing the security of the Bitcoin network and the speed of the Blockstack network and the ability to do all the smart contracts and do the off-chain transactions, and then and maintain the end-to-end security within the Bitcoin network. So I think that's really exciting.
Yeah, and a company also that just had their Monego live earlier this year, and they've already got all kinds of development tools, and smart contracts. I mean, we all know projects out there that are several years old that still don't have smart contracts, right?
Yeah, but they're coming tomorrow, right?
Maybe.
We won't name any names.
Right.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah. So no, that's great.
Mm-hmm.
Well, just as we come in a wrap up here, I think this has been a really good session, and thank you for joining us today, Curtis. It's been a pleasure to have you here, and
My pleasure.
Bring in some new insights, and that two great Facebook groups, Crypto Canada and Crypto Questions, Answers, and News, and that the Crypto Canada focuses on the Canadian market space, and everyone is welcome as long as you'll say please and thank you and sorry, and you play good hockey, and everyone else is welcome into cryptocurrency questions and answers, and just be polite, and thank you for joining us. And if you're watching us on Facebook, go ahead and like and share and drop a comment. Let us know you'd like to hear from us. And if you're following us on YouTube, go ahead and like and subscribe and comment. Let us know your thoughts, and we'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So lots
hey,
of exciting stuff.
Yeah, we can ask Curtis to give us some last minute sage advice.
Yeah, wisdom.
Oh no. Last minute sage advice.
Yeah, sort of put you on the spot.
I guess for the new people, fear of missing out. If you see something jumping up, don't go all in. Spread out. It's easier to catch the unicorns if you spread out. And don't panic. This market is highly volatile, and you're gonna see it drop 20% and then rise up 30%. It's just the way that it's always been. So.
Yeah. Expect it to drop the minute you go in.
And it's okay, right?
Yeah.
I was reading a comment today, and I thought it was great advice. And it's like, don't buy the dip when it's falling. Wait until you see a rise signal. Even that advice is that you get false rises. We all know about that. And that's part of it's part of the emotional run. So that's great advice. Curtis, thank you so much. And Bill, it's been a pleasure.
And pleasure again, as always, Jeff. Thank you.
And we'll talk to you guys again on Tuesday night.
Yeah.
You have yourself a great weekend. Thank you.
All right.
Be safe.
Later on.